Hey y'all, Edward here from GAMA 2018. Happy to be joined by good friend and publisher Clay Ross from Capstone Games. Thanks, Clay.
How we doing, man?
Doing well. You?
Doing great.
I say con, but it's a trade show. It's an event. So how's it been going for y'all?
This has been phenomenal. We're at the Pepper Mill in Reno, and last year was at Bally's in Vegas, and it just felt kind of empty there. And then this year, it's packed.
I have no frame of reference, but it feels like Origins as far as size-wise.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
right?
There's so much foot traffic out there, and just a lot of good conversation. It's nice to get retailers and distributors, and obviously the publishers out there, all under one umbrella to network together. This is the event that everybody in the industry kind of comes together and just reconnects after a full year, because there's not really one event like this that happens.
And last year, afterwards, you were like, dude, you have got to come to this. And I was like, really? You think so? And yes, he was 100% correct. Because like you said, it's the only time of the entire year in which you get retailers, publishers, distributors, media, and not everyone pushing product to the consumer. And so it's a chance to get everybody in a relatively casual environment in which to, well, make deals and so on and so forth, right?
It's networking, like you said, and there are tons of deals that are made, and it's exciting. It's a start to the year. It's the start of the board game season, and it's exciting. I mean, yeah.
It really is, and I think it started the board game season, even though here we are mid-March, that's exactly it, ahead of, con season beginning, whether, starting with Heavy Con and going from there to all the way, well, now PAX Unplugged, right?
Yeah, so we've got all those shows coming up, and some people are showcasing, hey, this is what's coming out at Essen. We haven't really covered that yet. So we're more focused on what's coming out sooner than later.
So speaking of which, we have the Estates, or as all of our viewers and listeners will know it as, Neue Heimat.
Correct.
So this is the second edition of Neue Heimat, known as the Estates, right?
Yeah, this is the Estates. It's Neue Heimat in the North American market would not do well, I'm afraid to say, as much as everybody likes the...
Because names matter, right?
It does, and you got to think of it from a total market view of somebody that doesn't know anything about Capstone Games or is new to the market. They're going to be very intimidated by I don't know how to say that.
Right.
Neue Heimat.
So how can you sell something that you can't even pronounce, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult. So we wanted to make it more friendly, more approachable, just like in the Simply Complex line is trying to do. And it's a great fit, and I'm really excited with how this project is progressing.
So you said friendly. This is not a friendly game.
Approachable, sorry. Maybe
gotcha.
I should use that word.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So approachable from a just retailer being able to sell to the public?
Exactly, that and just more accessible to a wider age range. I know the name doesn't really have an effect on that, but just doing that to cater to the Simply Complex line is what we're really focusing on, in the same vein as the Climbers did last year. So we're going to continue that with the Estate.
So obviously it's still in development as far as graphic design and artwork and all of those things, so we don't have that to show. We have some assets that you're working on that we can show. But as far as the gameplay, is anything changing as far as that goes?
There's not, no, the rules are the same. Okay, so with the Estates and Neue Heimat, there are variants that some groups play, like we were just talking about earlier.
Right, as far as you could either play with the faces up to where you can't see it, faces to the side to where it's always visible, stuff like that, right?
So we're going to be very clear in our rule set that when you place a floor cube, that you can look at all the building or all the cubes underneath it. So there's essentially no hidden information on that. And another one is your money in this game. You just can't put it underneath the table. You can have a stack of it, so somebody can just kind of guesstimate on what value. You don't have to reveal that.
So nobody can ask you to count your stack, or they can ask, but you don't have to do so. They can just kind of eyeball how much money you have to be able to gauge their bids.
And the same thing with when you do your illegal earnings underneath the game board. That's going to be the same deal as well.
Okay, all right. So, but rules-wise, pretty much the same, except another thing, you guys are taking out all the blank roofs, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That is a rule that I cannot stand in this game, and I talked with Klaus, the designer, Klaus Zock, and he is like, I don't know why we put that in there. We need to get it out. And I was like, hey, we are on the same page with this one. Let's
awesome.
do it.
That makes that really easy, because that essentially here, even though it's an approachable game, it is a very cutthroat, very tough, very mean, very somewhat opaque, heavy bidding game or auction game.
Absolutely.
And with the zero value roofs, essentially you lose your turn just because a random draw came out. Oh, I lose my turn. And it's not a modern mechanic.
That's a really good way of wording that, and how that feels. It just doesn't, it feels old. And
yeah, it feels dated for sure.
So we just want to get that out of there, so everybody can have a turn, kind of thing.
And graphic design wise, or I should say as far as artwork wise goes, you're going a little bit more from like cityscape to like lakefront, to kind of describe that a little bit?
So we are still holding it in the city. The game board is going to have the same shape. And
kind of a long rectangle.
Right, you've got the 3 rows of buildings, for those that are familiar with it. On the left side, you've got this like skyscraper, big buildings. You got a big one-way street that's like 5 lanes or something like that. We're still working on the concept with it.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that the players know where to place the mayor.
Okay.
And then you've got the estates that you're building. It's kind of like this construction zone, and then you got the river that separates this natural park area all the way on the right with a nice little lake at the very end. So as your eyes pan down this board, you go from real busy to like a construction site, then a beautiful nature preserve, and then the guy's hanging out on his boat in a lake. It's just like,
nice.
it makes it's just a really cool panoramic view.
Which, and this always killed me with this game, much like the Climbers, here it looks kind of like this child's game, to where it's just building block type stuff, and it's the same thing. And here we have always said it's the most brutal auction game ever created.
That is 100% true on that. I agree with you on that. Yes.
So simply complex, but brutal too.
Really
That's the you know, simply complex, but really kind of brutal.
Can we put that on there?
Good stuff. So time frame on this, because I know folks are going to be really, really excited to finally, for those, because it's been hard to get.
Yeah, it is. So this will be our Essen release. We will have it available at Essen. One of the things that we're doing to it is making it colorblind friendly.
Okay.
And we were reached out by our distributor partners and retailers that they love the Climbers, but some customers are hesitant because of the colorblind issue.
Okay,
that's
fair
happened.
point.
You know, I mean, yeah, it is a fair point, and it's like, okay, what can we do? I take this information, I'm not going to ignore it. You know, I want to apply that to our games.
Why wouldn't you, right?
I
I mean, you're trying to sell copies of the game.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
So we're going to do some silk screen images around the floor cubes with different patterns for the different colors, so players that have that I don't know,
Colorblind issue, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Can still play the game and know what color it truly is, just based on the shape that's on the side of the cube. That way, because this game, when you play it, you know, you don't want to be asking, you know, hey, what is that one over there? I'm kind of looking at that floor cube. Then people kind of know, like, this, oh,
he's going after the blue ones, right? Yeah, right.
So,
sure, for sure.
It's just stuff like that I want to incorporate, and we, because of the production costs of this, we would have to do a print run that is substantially higher than we've ever done.
So that means that leaves realistically one other option, which is, of course, Kickstarter.
So, exactly. This will be our very first Kickstarter, and there's no way to, basically, if we didn't do Kickstarter, we would throw all of our capital at it for this year, and launch the game and basically print it to what I want it to look like.
Okay.
But the problem with that is, what if it's a miss? I've got all these copies. Yeah, there's still going to be a market out there that want the original game. They're going to buy it.
Sure.
But, you know, that's only a fraction of this total print run size that I'm looking at doing.
So it's an unnecessary risk for the company, because which a poor business model if you put all your eggs in one basket and it goes under. I mean, you do this. You do this for a living now. You're full time.
Then there'd be no more Capstone Games.
Right, which I imagine folks would be upset about. I would be bummed because obviously you go back into our catalog, find games that we love, and make them available to the masses, which we appreciate. So,
so basically, with the Kickstarter, I mean, we're looking at using, and I've been talking to distributors about it, and they understand. What I think is going to happen is with Kickstarter these days, it's amazing. I think that it's a free marketing tool essentially. You know, you put something on Kickstarter and everybody knows about it. They know all the information because it's listed on, well, the good ones, they're all listed on there, and you can reach out with comments, and it's transparency pretty much.
Okay, and so two questions on that come to mind. First off, is this a new model for Capstone, or is this a one-off, or is this going to become the norm?
This will not be the norm, I guarantee you that.
Okay.
So. This is why Kickstarter is great, is because there's a project that I want to do, but it's so risky for me just to do it the traditional straight to retail method that, hey, we got to really hedge our bets here with Kickstarter, and that's the tool.
And that's exactly what Kickstarter's there for, I imagine, right? And the second thing is, you said this is an Essen release, and you're talking about Kickstarter, which means right around the corner, question mark?
Absolutely. We are nearing the completion date with the artwork, and we actually got a guy working on the video right now for the Kickstarter. So we're gonna have a 3D view of the game and how it plays and everything.
Okay.
But the Kickstarter will release on April 11th. It's a Wednesday, and we're gonna run it for I think 23 days. It'll end on May. The first Friday of May is when it should end. So.
Okay, and delivery then right around Essen time this year?
Yeah, I've been working closely with the factory. This will be done at Panda. They do a phenomenal job. Their qualities, I mean, everybody knows their quality.
Sure.
So again, top-notch components here, and it should be done around like late August. So it will be available at Essen, but also here at GAMA, we're talking with retailers to get them an idea of what we're doing, and a lot of them are really happy and pleased that while we are releasing this at Essen, we're still going to have a U.S. release at that same time, so they can join the party.
So it's not after.
Yeah, they don't have to wait.
The fact,
oh
right.
Man, everybody's at Essen, and these games are so great. Yeah, I can't get it for another couple months. That's the worst feeling, especially for a retailer who's trying to capitalize on that.
Sure.
So we're going to be able to offer that to everybody at the same time.
Cool. So. All right. Well, and you know that gives me plenty of time to do a playthrough video of the estates as well. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah. So we should have the prototype components are coming in, and we're basically what's going to happen is the Kickstarter is going to launch. We'll be following through with that for the time that it goes through, and then in May we have a couple weeks to gather all the information, understand what kind of print size we're going to do, and then go to the factory from there, and then it's smooth sales hopefully to the.
So actually, one other question then on the Kickstarter aspect is, I mean, Kickstarter backers at this point I almost feel are conditioned to expect stretch goals. Mm-hmm. So how is this going to be done?
The stretch goals are essentially what I want to do with the game. There are some fun ones that I'm okay, because yeah, that's a good question. Basically what I want to do, the silkscreen images on the side, that is the ultimate thing I want to do with this game, just to make it colorblind friendly. Plus, it looks great. We have to hit a certain dollar threshold to make that happen. That's going to be the big stretch goal there.
Okay. All right.
And if we hit that, and I hope we do, and if we go above and beyond that, then we're going to start talking some exclusives to Kickstarter backers. You know, there's some things that I've got. These are not rule-breaking abilities, because that's the thing that I've always mentioned with Kickstarter is when you start throwing in promo cards and hey, you get this extra character that does this, it completely derails the gaming experience.
Okay, so you're not changing the core game then with any of these stretch goals or anything.
Yeah, and I hope we can get to that point where we release those stretch goals that are exclusive to Kickstarter, because they're going to be stuff that you're like, okay, I'm really glad I backed this Kickstarter because it's exclusive, but it just makes the game.
So is it just cool little upgrade type stuff?
More or less.
I mean, you're hedging your bets here. You won't let it. Yeah, I'm trying to goad you into. I'm trying to try it out of you here, man.
Yeah, it's some things we're still working on. And
But so it doesn't affect the gameplay. So if you don't back the Kickstarter and you end up getting a retail version,
I'll give you this. Majority of them will not affect the gameplay. There is one that I'm working with Klaus right now on something a little special for the game.
All right.
And this would still be a Kickstarter exclusive. So this one would be much after the fact, after all these other exclusive things that I've got lined up for it.
One last question then that comes to mind. You mentioned that retailers are going, this is going to release to the US and Essen around almost identical time frame,
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So you mentioned Kickstarter exclusive. Does that cut out the retailer, or are you going to have a retailer pledge to where they can, so if people, whoever out there doesn't like Kickstarter or misses it or anything like that, they can still get the Kickstarter version of this game from their retailer, from the local
we're
game
going to have a
store,
retailer
or whether
pledge.
it's, you know, a game surplus, say, for instance?
Yeah, so any retailer, we're going to work through that. We're going to have a retailer pledge on there. So retailers can still get the Kickstarter exclusive. However, people that don't back the Kickstarter, and they can either get it through the retailer or whatever the number of Kickstarters that back this game is, and if we get to those exclusive goals, that's all we're going to print for those, and we're not going to do more than that. So later on, if hypothetically, if this game does really, really well, and we have to reprint it again, those exclusives will never be printed. There's no need to print those again. I mean, because of the price point that we're looking at doing the game is expensive, and then including this free stuff is going to be increasing the cost of the game too.
Okay, that makes sense. So help them. So the public, the Kickstarter backers are helping Capstone. So your way of returning that favor is to give them these exclusives. Okay, we did it together. Awesome. If we do it again, we got it off the ground. We're good, and we're just going to do the normal version going forward.
Yeah, but without that extra stuff.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
Cool. That's the goal. And we'll see how it goes. It's nerve-wracking, but at the end of the day, the game will be made. It's just a matter of, is it going to be colorblind friendly? Is it going to have this extra stuff that I want to put, in there?
And it's only due to cost. It's not due
it's
to
100%
holding
due
a
to
carrot
cost.
out in front of people's faces.
That's exactly. I don't want to do Kickstarter because my marketing and business background is not formulated for that. I mean, I'm straight to retail business. That's how we've been doing business this entire time, and I think that channel's been working really well for us. It's just, hey, this is a little bit pricey for what we're looking at. So,
okay, cool, good deal. Awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and even though I have my version of Neue Heimat, I'm anxious to check out the estates, plus whatever little extra goodies you're giving us for the Kickstarter.
Yeah,
so good
it
stuff.
should be a good thing, and I'm excited for it. So.
Cool. So the date again was?
April 11th.
All right. So check out the estates, Capstone Games. So Neue Heimat 2.0 or second edition from Capstone. Thanks a lot, Glenn. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, cool.